Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Arts and Design Special Committee on Tuesday, April 13th. And we have only one person who is absent today, and I'm not sure why. I did confirm with her that it was today. Hopefully she's not next door looking for a spot. But we do certainly have a quorum. And our first business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. So are there any changes to the minutes that anyone has, additions, corrections? Okay, they will stand approved then, and thank you very much, Patty, for doing that with us. Okay, housekeeping matters. April 23rd is the committee appreciation brunch, and hopefully each of you has responded to Karen, and I hope to see you there because you really do deserve a thank you for all the hard work that you have already completed. I think that I'm just impressed with the quality and the commitment that you've all had to our process. Also, I'd like to let you know that at the end of our time period, when we're finished with our committee, the process is for you to do an evaluation of the committee, and that will be online. And at the bottom of that evaluation, there's an opportunity for you to determine whether or not you want to continue with this committee or you want to be considered for other committees. So at the end of the evaluation process, that will take you then to the committee application if you want to update that for another year. So that's just giving you a heads up. And Karen will send out a reminder when that time period comes. Another housekeeping matter, I'd like to know if I have your approval to allow your names to be published in the Independent. They often do articles and kind of review our meetings and then do an article. Is that okay with everyone, or just your name? Okay, great. We've taken care of that. All right, then let's go to our business of today. You have a hard copy of all of the worksheets that were compiled. We had some problems with technology along the way, but I think we've worked through those bumps. You have a hard packet, as well as you've seen them sent by me ahead of time, so you had hopefully had a chance to take a look at each one of those and kind of read through them and make any kind of notes that you might have. So I'd like to start with having each of you, a pair of you that have comments to make, and kind of highlight one or two items from your tour, or what a thing that you'd like to share. I don't expect you to go through everything on your list. And then I'll ask if anybody has additional things that they want to add to our brainstorming list that we've developed. So the first one in the packet is Palm Ridge. So who's going to do the talking, either Judy or Kat?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
turn on your microphone, Judy.
okay.
And you can stay seated. You're okay.
Is it on?
It is. If it's
Okay.
got a green
All
light,
right,
you're good to show.
I think we'll start at the entrance. And what we saw is kind of nothing. It's just bare. And to that area to the left, we thought some kind of a nice sculpture would be, are we on the right? Yeah. Some sort of a nice sculpture could be placed there at the entrance. The other thing we saw is that there is a big black bench that is sort of misplaced. It sticks out, and I think that's picture side entrance number 5.
Just
And
peel up, Katie.
just move it that way, yeah. Just move it. It's sticking out, it's in the sun, and nobody's gonna sit on a metal bench in the sunshine to wait. Now, in the evening, maybe fine, but we thought it just could be placed in a better area that's in the shade by the entrance. I think, Kat, don't you think that the other thing that we saw is the main entrance inside the hallway has very nice artwork, but they're hanging at the wrong levels. So that would be a real inexpensive maneuver to just showcase them more, hang them at proper levels, and then at the seating area toward the end of the hallway, there's this nice armoire that just has mishmash displayed, and we thought maybe some of the clubs, the shelves could be, yes? I'm at picture number 2.
Lobby number 2, up.
Lobby 2. And it just has little fake flowers and that sort of thing. We thought maybe some of the clubs, the stained glass, the clay club, et cetera, could just kind of showcase a piece in that area and kind of get rid of those fake trees that have been there for a long while. When we went out, this is going through the lobby and turning left to the pool area, which would be photo number 3 and 4. There was just nothing, bare walls, a couple of chairs, and it would be nice to have some sort of maybe metal artwork or mural or something that would make it more attractive. let's see, what else? And this faces the pool. If you look at these pictures of these two chairs, the pool is to the right. So it looks onto that area, and we were even thinking like waves. Metal Club could do some waves, and it would go in conjunction with the pool. Then we went into the main entrance, and these are pictures number 8 and 10, where you check into the swimming pool and the gym. Too much furniture. I think it looks sort of like a storage house, and we talked to the ladies that have worked there for quite a while, and they said there's never more than 1 or 2 people that sit in this area at the same time. So this furniture could be used elsewhere. And we understand COVID had a issue that made everything kind of look not as nice as it could. But in photo number 11, that is where the people that have a individual trainer sit and go over. And we thought if we could use some of this nicer furniture and and enhance that area, that would be good. The shower rooms are kind of bare, but in the locker room area of the men and women's, we thought in some time in the future, maybe if we could find a nice piece of artwork just to enhance it. And Kat, was this picture where the lockers were and the chairs? It wasn't actually in the shower area? Yeah, number 12. I think that was in the locker room. Maybe sometime in the future, a nice piece of artwork could be put there. Inside the pool, I'm trying to see if there are vaulted ceilings, and I don't know whether we got a good picture of that, but the windows go all around, and if you've been there, there's great vaulted ceilings on either end. We thought some sort of graphic or a stripe or something that coordinated with the tangerine and blue that you can see outside, some sort of graphic to make it a little more interesting would work. And this is probably not in our area, but we just thought the chairs out by the outdoor pool were really old and that was one thing that could be enhanced. And I talked to Sue, and she could have a comment on this. Over in Grand, they have some just beautiful tables and chairs that are sitting around their the Grand Cafe, and I'll let you speak to that later, but these would be really great, or something maybe not quite as expensive as that, but that would, just changing that furniture would update it. The pickleball courts, we thought, looked really good, and maybe another canopy, like is in this picture, 16 and 17. There's another court, or another area next to it that had the bleachers stored, that maybe if they have a lot of tournaments in the future, that could be added, another one of these canopies, and maybe at the entrance, just for the fun of it, a sculpture of a big pickleboard paddle or something, 6 to 8 feet tall. But that was kind of 1 or 2 on our list, but it would be fun in the future. Do you want me to go on to the?
Let's go on to the centers, and then we'll come back to the
Okay,
golf courses.
okay.
How's that?
Do you have any, did I miss anything?
The thing that I noticed,
You got, is your microphone on?
I can't see where's that mic. Okay. The thing that I noticed when I toured the facilities is you can, when you walk into it, can you hear me?
No.
Pull it closer. Is the green light on?
Yes.
Okay.
The thing that I noticed when you walk in the facilities is you know when things are done right. And you can see it by the way people interact in the facility. And that's what I noticed at Kuntz, cohesive colors, conversational groupings, a thematic approach. It was all done right. People were conversating, talking, and it was just doing right. And that's what I did not notice at these other places. And so that's the biggest takeaway I had. You know, the art can be adjusted and all that, but to get it so people interact, I think that's the secret and the key. And then having something beautiful to look at. And everywhere I went, a mural. I want a mural here, a mural here. And so those are things that cost very little. We have people in our community who are beautiful artists who could do really wonderful things. So we could fill up some beautiful spaces and do it with a consistent color theme depending on the property. And that would bring so much enrichment and change the way we interact by the way we group things together, tables and chairs and umbrellas and all those things that make winter here wonderful. So that was my big takeaway.
Yeah, and Kuntz has just been, over the last 5 years, the courtyard has been updated, and as has the entrance now. So maybe we just work one place at a time, or
Yeah,
do
that's
little
a-
things.
that's
and
a thought.
To enhance, yeah. Oh, is that me squeaking?
No, I think that's me. Great observation. And I think maybe we've got some nodding heads here that we agree with kind of what was said. Super. Okay, let's skip the golf courses, and then let's go on to the next center, which is Beardsley. Nancy, you want to highlight a couple of things that we saw? You're going to have to pull the microphone close to you. There you go.
Can you hear me? No?
Pull it closer. Is the light on? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, Beardsley is probably the oldest indoor aquatic center in Sun City West. And on the page where it's got the aquatic fitness center and the lobby, that's all going to be changed. That's going to not be open archways. It's all going to be enclosed, correct? And so there's going to be some renovation there. And when you walk into the lobby, you have the aquatics lobby area, and that's all going to be changed out. So our thought on that was wall paint, and I put down a couple of my suggestions on the worksheet. And that round table is going to be removed, and the bulletin boards are going to be maybe rearranged. Okay, so the top picture, the lobby, or not, when you go from the lobby, you have to go down this long corridor to get to the fitness center and to the women's locker room and the men's locker room. We really didn't care for those stripes, so we had some ideas of getting rid of those stripes with paint, and on the right side there are 4 glass block windows, and this would be a structural thing, but to add another row of glass block windows underneath that to add more lighting. And perhaps on that right side, maybe take down a wall that goes into the fitness center. And on the left side, maybe a mural that adds some dimension so that it won't look so like you're walking down a long hallway and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, so Sue, did you want to add anything to that?
Well, it's just that it's a long skinny hallway, and if there's some way to put a graphic up there or something, making the lines go diagonally, or opening it up so that there's some light coming in there, it's just I don't know what the solution is, but we noticed the problem. Is about all I can say.
We call it the Long Green Mile.
Exactly right. That's exactly what it gives you a feeling for, and I don't know what the answer is, but. And the stripes make it look longer, and, yeah, yeah, very, very difficult. And if you do anything with more windows on the right-hand side, which you could do, that's looking out into a maintenance area. So even if you add the windows, you don't really solve the problem. So I don't know if we have an answer, but anyway, it's an important thing that doesn't look right
But
to us.
accent lighting or something like that could create the same effect as adding glass block windows
Okay,
for a much
Oh, okay.
yeah, much more reasonable.
reasonable cost than structural, so.
Now, as we're doing that, when people give ideas, Nancy, make sure you kind of make a notation of those so that we can update this, and Carl has just added an idea that might work there. Anything else about Beardsley now, Nancy, that you want to highlight from the whole center?
Okay, so then the next part that's going to be renovated is the aquatics pool area, and that's on, is this page 23? On page 23? And on the, okay, so the flooring is going to remain. We're going to be working with those colors. And it kind of mimics the Sun City West logo colors. Okay, so the walls in that whole area, on one end, it has throughout the whole pool area, it has 4 foot of terrazzo, and from end to end, it is 4 feet of terrazzo, and then white brick. On page 24, the upper left-hand corner shows one end, and it's got an American flag on it. Let's see. On the side walls, that's a little bit different. It also has a 4 foot of terrazzo, and then it has, I don't know, maybe 5 feet of brick, and then it has a wall that is probably about another 5 feet that is recessed in kind of an alcove, and that's light gold. And let's see, I don't think you can really see it that well on these pictures. Maybe on page 24, the upper right-hand picture gives you an idea of how that top part of it is recessed, how it's out, and then it is recessed in. So we were thinking that we could do something with, and that's a smooth surface too, so we could do something with metal decals, swimmers, something to that effect. Around the pool, and I don't know if you can see this, it's probably about a foot of deeper blue color. And on page 23, the lower left hand shows what's probably the most attractive area in that pool as far as color and decor. And the other side, across that, on that same page, that whole area is going to be renovated, which is now carpeting is going to be pulled out, and they're going to continue with that swooshy design of flooring with the same colors.
So that area is kind of undetermined purpose.
Well,
Carl, you want to speak to that?
so I'm encouraged, about what you discussed and you saw. So I'd like to review what I do have as capital being applied to those areas. And I would like this to be a focus part of this committee's help in setting color and whatnot. And then I'll give you some feedback of what, and I'll do it now, a pool environment. So please remember that in a pool environment, it's humid all the time and metal rusts. So a sculpture needs to be a rust-proof sculpture. The walls in that room are always going to have just a slight level of humidity or dampness to it. The capital that, I'll go from the pool area backwards, that I would love everybody's input on is the end of pool area currently has carpet and water features in the ground and a water feature kind of wall stone thing in the corner. That is all going to be demoed. I will fill in the ground, the concrete floor, and make it flush concrete again. And we would like to apply the rubber pellet flooring that we've done at the Coons Pool Deck at the end of pool. So I would like help on color selection. And yes, I do recommend that we follow the swoosh, and I have that swoosh cost, if you will, already in my estimation, so. Nancy mentioned that the pool is surrounded by a 4-foot-tall terrazzo wainscot. I have not found a favorable wainscot covering or application, so if it can be painted, I think that would be the most cost-effective. And it definitely deserves it, and Properties Committee definitely approves it, hence the reason it's a capital budget line item. We are opening to painting the walls throughout the whole interior to be complemented by the new uplighting being provided that is also in the budget. So the room is going to get much brighter. If you go on the governing board website of the capital projects for the year, you'll see a demonstration picture of what Musco's lighting for a pool area like this looks like. It's very comfortable. There is no lighting that is going to be in anybody's face. It's going to illuminate the room. So whatever choices of color you select for that, again, they'll be highlighted by new lighting. The wainscot, we just have to figure out what's the best application, like a specialty bonder and then paint. Be careful of metal wall sculptures because they rust. And definitely focus on the end of flooring rubber pellet floor material that's going down from a design perspective, so.
Sure. Judy? Can you hear me? Yep. Well, is your light on?
Okay. I'm just looking at page 24, number 3 photo. I'm probably one of the most patriotic people you will ever see or meet, but is there a reason we have the flag in the pool area? If we want to honor our country, could we put a pole at the entrance or something with the flag? Or was this just some of the members hung it maybe during our last few years?
I would assume that it's there to fill the wall, because otherwise it's an empty wall.
Okay.
So I would think if we redecorate.
I just didn't
You can
think
hang it
that
at a
it
different
kinda
place.
fit
Right,
there.
it doesn't really fit with a theme. We had some ideas, I think, Nancy, didn't we, with what we might do with that area to make it look like a kind of a resort atmosphere with some little, what did we decide to call them, Quonset huts? No.
There's a lot of windows in that space, and something that I bring to the table from a painting, I was looking at some of our recreation center magazines, and that wall is so long, has a lot of windows on the one side going out to the patio. It has a lot of air conditioning soffits on the opposite side, but if you had a traveling swoosh of color down that whole wall, I mean, the design of the swoosh would be great and kind of complement the floors, but I don't know if that's too much swoosh, you know what I mean, or, so.
Yeah, so the idea was to make it resort-looking by putting, what was it, spa tents or, using cabanas to make it look.
Yeah, little cabanas, or I even thought we could have white spa tents, and then we could be doing our massages in there, inside the nice warm atmosphere. And, it's because it's a large space. I'm going to pass around the picture that Carl was referring to so that you can really see kind of what it looks like. I only have one copy, but pass it down and around.
No, that pool operates efficiently. I know it seems uncomfortable, but it is Arizona's second largest pool. It operates appropriately to maintain the 83-ish water temperature, and that's what it takes. That's the inside environment to that building. Palm Ridge is not much different, if you notice. It's just a taller ceiling, so you have a different feeling from day to day. But there are times at Palm Ridge where it gets shut down due to the humidity. I mean, it literally gets closed because it can't be managed any differently, you know?
Okay, so, and we're kind of maybe stepping ahead, but what I'm hearing from Carl is that this area is probably a very important area to give input into because of the fact that we have the funding to be able to really do something there, and he wants some assistance with some ideas for designing that. So, Shelley?
I have a question. The pellet floor, can that be in any color, or is it a set color?
It comes in a rainbow of color. Now, I will tell you that just in the last couple of months at Kuntz, the lighter colors, we are seeing people's oil foot traffic, and it is resulting in a lot more labor in cleaning. We have a machine for that. We don't believe the traffic is the same over at Beardsley. Probably, it's not an environment that's going to come right out of a locker room and into the pool and right back out of a locker room. It'll probably be used more people like exercising and yoga-ish because it'll have a rubber flooring. So I was we definitely have to have an operational discussion on, the idea of tenting, but it was a cool idea.
Yes. Judy? Another Judy.
I have a question. I was told that because of the rubber flooring, they have to clean it at Kuntz every single night. So everything has to be moved off of there?
Yeah, that's not true.
Oh, okay.
But the traffic from the lobby entrance door to the pool steps gets cleaned every day.
Okay.
And the same from the spa to the steps. So there's two traffic patterns that definitely show traffic wear. So no different than the concrete surface that you had before. It's just the concrete surface was unsightly and the rubber pellets
I have a
aren't.
question. And you might even be able to answer this since I haven't walked on it, but do the darker colors absorb heat? Would they, like in a lot of materials?
Certainly. So that's why at Kuntz, we went with a lighter palette of color. And we didn't do any absolute solids because that'll definitely show a wear pattern, from oils and stuff like that. So Kuntz is our test pilot, quite honestly. So we've learned a few things, and I think we're ready to go make some adjustments. But don't be afraid to make a recommendation. And then
Well,
them pellets come in. I'll bring them at the next meeting. From solids, every spectrum of the rainbow, just about primary colors, and then it comes into the tans and the neutrals. So you can mix a lot of tans, even with a blue and a black, and it will create a hidden wear pattern, which is what we're learning too. So you can purposely put a swoosh in or a straight line in a specific area for our success and benefit of cleaning.
So is it your intent to continue those swirls that are already there, or are you open to?
It's not an absolute, it can be.
Okay. Otherwise, we would have to continue the color scheme that's already there, something that would blend with the number of colors. But there are a lot of shades there, so.
I think we would all agree that you have to draw the colors that exist in the floor and
Right.
carry them through that space. That would
Yeah.
be your only
Right, and there are a variety of them, so you have some options. Nancy, let's leave this discussion and go ahead. Are there any other things at the Beardsley site that you want to highlight? Yes. Marilyn, is your mic on? Is your microphone on? Push the button. Push the button. A green light, good, you're good to go.
Have you ever hung anything from the ceiling such as baffling, big panels that they often use on ceilings? Have you ever hung those down from the ceiling as a decorative piece?
We have not, and I need you to consider that per OSHA, per safety of having anybody hang anything in that ceiling, we would have to drain the pool. And the cost in doing that, that's why it's very difficult to make changes. I heard the Palm Ridge suggestion. It's a beautiful suggestion for color up in the gazebo area above, but we don't have the means of getting a man lift and things in there. And those are the things I'm gonna help you with, understand, you know. So, if it was a capital project for the purpose of something else, like an air conditioning repair or a major, a roof repair, then that would justify draining the pool, but not for an art project. So,
I'm sure you're all aware of Panera Bread company over on Bell Road. You might go in there and take a look at what they have done with the ceiling. And it's, many times you find ideas from going into restaurants and hotels, the modern ones that have just been decorated. Very interesting because they have ceiling panels that are old, probably, an inch or an inch and a half wide by maybe 4 by 6, 4 by 8, and they have them hung on. They have them hung like this, with chains from the ceiling, and they can be painted. And for some of these rooms that are really large, and not very interesting, such as over the pool or where people sit, maybe that might be a good idea. I have a suggestion.
Okay. Judy?
You said that you'd have to drain a pool. How often do we paint, like, I'll just go with Palm Ridge because it's a large expanse. How often is that painted?
I would have to actually inquire about that, but I imagine we would, for the better part of 8 years, at least 10 years, from a painting perspective of the ceilings, yeah, absolutely.
So even if we did some graphics along the sidewalls where, you know how those windows are?
No problem.
You'd have to drain a pool?
No, no.
Oh, okay, all right.
You know, and
But
actually
anything over
that
the
does pose a
water.
very good question of humidity and painting. So depending on what the manufacturer says or the painting specialty vendor, you know, that would be something that has to get discussed. I'm going to make a note on it right now because humidity could
Thank you.
affect application.
I have
Okay.
a question about the wall or hanging panels. You wouldn't be able to use, I guess if you use stainless steel, would the humidity not
That is
rest?
correct. All engineering has to be considered for a pool environment, anti-rust.
Well, and you wouldn't, I don't know what they would be made of, but I used to teach them liability, and I see things hanging from that, and if something happened that they fell, I mean, that could be onto someone, it could be a liability. I mean, I think it would look really nice, but I see just a lot of problems with depending on the materials you used, and you wouldn't want to use cloth really, because I think the humidity, that would deteriorate it. So I'm just saying I see some problems with that.
Okay, so caution if we're going to be hanging
In a pool
things.
environment, you have to
In the
take
pool, right.
a whole lot of other things come into play. Yep.
Okay, Nancy, other things at
Okay,
Beardsley?
at Beardsley.
You want to highlight?
Sure. On page 24, the aquatic sun deck, we noticed, I mean, they've got some greenery on one side. The furniture is very outdated, inside and outside. So on the one side where it has the chases and the glass windows, there could be some decor possibly in between those windows.
Okay.
Okay, then on the next page, we went over to the arts and craft area. And on the patio, it has also old furniture. They had some interesting totem poles. And on the front side entrance of the arts and craft, they have a beautiful copper picture. And one thing, I didn't get a picture of this for the patio, but on the patio, they have archways similar to the bottom picture of the front entrance with that square block around it. On the patio, they've got a number of pillars, and I was thinking maybe an accent color on the pillars that would match an accent color on that square. It was just my thought. Okay, and then on the middle picture, that is of the entrance, it has like an Alamo architecture, and there's nothing there. The front of it does have decor, but that side of it has nothing. So we were thinking maybe climbing shrub, something greenery, maybe some art decor.
Okay, any other highlights for Beardsley? I think you can read the things that Nancy and I helped Nancy with this assignment as her partner. My overall takeaway was that Beardsley, being the oldest, I assume it's the oldest, if not R.H. Johnson, oldest rec center, really is in need of upgrading. It really needs to be worked on, and I know we kind of rotate around, and we've kind of fixed up Kuntz, and some of the other places are newer, but this is like an open slate of what needs to be kind of redone. And one of the pet things that I took away is that in the hallways in the arts and crafts area, there are little signs posted all over, and they're fairly, negative. It's like, no smoking. Okay, so here's a 10-foot wall, and right in the middle of that is this little, 12-inch sign that says, no smoking. And then that is repeated on each one of the doors. And it's like, as we had things to put up, we just stuck all those signs there instead of consolidating them, like right at the entrance to a doorway where they might not be so obvious. So that would be a start, is to move all those little signs so that they're in one location and find out which ones really we need to continually repeat. And that opens up then huge wall spaces that could handle some decorations. So I think, I don't know, Nancy and I kind of came away from there thinking, wow, there's a lot of work needs to be done here in general. One thing I'd like to add onto this is that when we were in Beardsley Park, and Nancy and I, I forgot to mention this, every time we have a concert, and obviously during COVID, that entire area is roped off not roped off, but fenced off with this ugly plastic that, contains the area. So my idea was that maybe we need to look at some attractive fencing that you can see through and put it in locations where when we have an event, we just, make a cord that you put across the entrance and it directs people. If there was another way to direct people, because it seems like we have that quite often, and it's not very attractive. So that was an idea that we forgot to get down on paper, because that came to me afterwards. And I would encourage all of you to walk over there and spend some time looking around and see what you think. Unless you've already been over there, but it's kind of an open slate and it needs some real help and some redesigned. Okay, so I think you can read the rest of the stuff. Let's go on then to, where are we? The lower R.H. Johnson Rec Center. Okay, Candy, go. You got your mic on. You're all good to go.
It's on. We thought R.H. Johnson is kind of the first thing that a lot of people see when they maybe buy a house in here. So it probably should be, the best, really good quality. So if you walk through the R.H. Johnson Rec Center, like going out to the big pool, the first thing you see is some artwork that's really, really tiny, and it should be expanded to something much bigger. And then they have these little sculptures. It's photo number 3. You probably can't see them very well, but they're really cool, and because they're set against that red paper, you can't see them. If you just move them over to the window, perhaps maybe somebody could see them better. That was a suggestion. And as you walk out of the pool, on the left side, if you look, there's a very big wall. And we thought of, maybe some waves or some color or something, or even a sail, like an orange or blue sails. That would be really pretty there. The other photo is, as you're going into the workout center, we noticed that the archway was a different color and it looked nice. Not much else in the workout room, though. There could be some additional things, but I think they move around the furniture a lot. Yes.
See the checkerboard pattern flooring on the gray walls?
Yes.
Kind of awkward that the walls are gray. I'm getting ready in June to replace all that flooring. So the new flooring is going to complement the
Good.
walls.
That'll be really good.
Okay, so that was an approved project from last year, and that is to fix slick floors so people don't get hurt.
Great. Okay, so since you have that photo up, the one on the top left, we thought that the colors, like going from light to dark was really nice. And we would like to expand it to photo number 10 because there's like nothing there. But maybe just color. The bathrooms were not great. They've got these really old planters that you're staring at as you fix your hair, and kind of dusty too. Let's see. Inside the hot tub area, there's room for some kind of paint or artwork. We understand that it's very humid in there, though, so it would have to be some sort of paint. Let's see. Number 7, can't really see. I didn't do very good photos. Number 7 was actually the workout area for classes and such. And they had some really inspiring messages on the walls. It was really nice. And if you do have a chance to go in there, it'd be great. And then they have the big logo on the back wall. And I think that logo could be in a lot of places around, the whole area. Because it is kind of new. It's, 2 years old, that logo?
Well, it's older than that, but
Yeah,
It's
it's cool,
fabulous.
though.
It's a
It's
great cool thing.
nice.
And that you can see the words above the windows there, you can just slightly see them, but we thought that, because I walked with them too, we thought that that was really an idea that could be carried forth in some of the other workout centers as well, because they're inspiring, it's kind of neat.
It was very encouraging. I think as far as what I do first, I think I'd work on this. Because like I said, people walk through this area first and to see if they really want to, join our community or not. Then we went on to the activity center, which is going from the pool towards the Meeker Mound or Meeker Park. And they had a lot of blank walls. We thought some color. They have a lot of area where there's picnic tables and a lot of hanging things could be done there. Maybe some sculptures. We did notice that entrance to the wine club, they had some nice furniture and some sculptures, and we thought that could be carried throughout. And the mini golf course, they have some sculptures there that are pretty cool, and we thought we could add some more. Next page, number 16. This was actually in back of the activity center. And it's just a big blank wall. This is the second bocce area, I think it is. So we thought some color. And that little photo is Meeker Hill, which I never knew the name, but it's lovely. There's plants, there's sculpture. It's just a really nice setting. And the dog park fence, we thought maybe they could change the color of the dogs, just so it stood out a little bit more. And the slide number 19 is the tennis area, and it's really beautiful. It's got sculptures and nice plants, and it was nice. Let's see. Next, we've got the men's club.
Carl, do you want to?
Yes, I want to save you the heartache. So, in the current budget that's being approved by the governing board, staff has asked to refloor the entire men's club due to the multi-purpose request to add millwork, so a nice cabinetry and storage, a little bit more like a multi-purpose room that you would see maybe at Kuntz. So cabinetry around the perimeter of the room, under the windows with countertops, on the side of the windows with tall storage locker, and then redo the monitor station and do countertops. So that would be the bulk of the room. Flooring and cabinetry are going to happen. So if you could provide a suggestion of color perspective, maybe I can add that to the folks that are managing the request, so.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think since, it's a poker room, maybe green, because it's all green. And I noticed there's a lot of stuff on the walls. It's a club, so they have the choice of what they want on there. But it would be nice to have like some cards or something that would, be appropriate for that area.
Don't let the name of the club discourage you because it's a multi-purpose space.
Hey, maybe that could be changed.
Well, you have multiple clubs in there. You have men's club, multiple kinds of card playing, LGBTQ, QT. The radio is right next door in the hallway, so it's used by multiple people from the community.
Yeah, Club 52 plays poker in
52,
there
thank you,
in the
yep.
evenings.
I've taken cooking classes there
Yeah.
because.
So
they've got
neutral,
kitchen set up.
but design and cult,
Well, the sign out there, Yeah,
So
Yeah.
then we would change the women's club as well. So don't go down that road. I mean, you have your dinosaurs here too, so.
right. But, yeah, it is, anyway, it's an area that, yeah, that we should work on, and as long as you're doing the remodeling project, we could maybe clean it up a little bit would be a really good idea.
Yeah, it seems dingy, I think.
Yeah, it's in need of a
It's in need,
redo,
yes.
And there's
definitely.
some opportunity for artwork, such in the bathroom, and it has a long hallway as well that could be maybe a stripe or diagonal added. The top photo is the little, kind of a meeting room, and there's no reason for that wood that goes around that.
chair rail.
building. I mean, it just kind of breaks up the space. And the photo 23 is just a blank wall that we saw. That's actually at RC or the Auto Place?
Auto Restoration Club,
Auto
ARC.
Restoration Club, yeah. It's just a big, wall that could be colored, or maybe the logo. The logo would be great there. And that's pretty much it. The golf course there, the Grand, everything's kind of, you can't really do much. There's, the maintenance building has a little bit of room for something, maybe the logo, but that's about it. Did you want to add something, Marilyn?
All in all, it just needs some color, and I think it's an opportunity for our club to donate pictures instead of copies of pictures. What do you think, Pat?
Well, I was marveling with some of our officers about all the places that Art Club was listed in here, and I'm not sure that they're going to be quite as gung-ho about some of these ideas. But I think that there's some real validity in using the Art Club expertise in combination with other people to create committees to take on certain areas.
The front of the Auto Club building could use a wonderful mural of a car. And I know there's some.
Oh, well, we've got a couple that do wonderful work, yeah. Jim would love it, or Jim, yeah.
So I would like to make a suggestion. I saw murals in here quite a bit, and I think murals are really cool. Be open to giving yourself a useful life. So if you're going to suggest a mural, not that somebody gets their heart broken, that when you consider placing a 5-year life, a 4-year life on somebody's really nice artwork. Now, maybe the Auto Club would love to have that car, if it was painted there, stay for the life of the building. But facilities maintenance staff is not going to be the ones that are being able to touch that up. They're not artists, they're craftsmen, so consider that when painting murals. And be open to a life. So if, let's you say this has a timeline, then nobody gets offended that in 4 years, we're gonna paint over it. Maybe we find another artist for another theme. You know what I'm saying? Just consider that,
Yeah, very, very good point.
okay?
And hopefully we'll be thinking of rotating displays and
Because our son
other
is
things like
brutal,
that.
so you know that somebody's really good work, if a mural were to get approved, it's gonna require, it's gonna get dated after some point from the sun, I would imagine, so.
Okay, let's move on to upper part of RH.
Okay, well, Shelley and I are going to have a conversation about this, so the ball will bounce back and forth probably, but I'd like to start just, there's some benefit and some hardship in being the very last one, because you've stolen a lot of our ideas, but you've also hit on some themes that we felt very strongly about, and one of them is that R.H. Johnson, I believe, having come here 11 years ago, this is the heart of the community. This whole structure, and that's why that pool is so outstanding, because that's what people lay their first eyes on. And it is important that we give a message that we want to give. And the second part of that is that the rec centers then, in turn, are the heart of the community, of neighborhoods. So they're the heart of a neighborhood and get a lot of action in the neighborhood. This gets the heart of the entire community. So this is where we believe some real thematic beginnings could take shape. And what I heard throughout the conversation was, wherever we talked about water, we talked about a wave action. People made it with their hand, they talked about the colors, they talked about it going across walls. We found the same thing. We talked about the same kind of wave action, but in other areas, land areas, we might want to develop a Arizona graphic that depicts mountains and canyons and things like that, that becomes a recurring theme in other centers out away from Johnson, so that it starts here and you get the flavor of it and you get the bright colors of it. You get you actually see the graphic in some of the colors that we've already established here, our little logo colors, and start to replicate that throughout the entire community. Because what Shelley and I discovered was that, and I believe I've felt this from the very beginning of moving here, was that this is a very functional community. It's not necessarily aesthetically very pleasing, because function is the #1 priority here, because this room, for instance, is very boring walls, but it has to meet a lot of different needs because a lot of different groups come here for lots of activities. So you have to have something that will work for a lot of different settings and environments and people. So that all has to be considered, but I think that it can be done very artfully with color, with graphics, with some well-placed pieces of art that are well thought out. You see art throughout the entire community, but there, I think, Candy, you had the picture of probably a very lovely painting in the middle of a great big huge wall, and nobody thinks that that makes any sense, but for someone, that was a nice place to put that. And that idea, only on a much grander scale. And then some other thematic kinds of things were things like where bikers, this is a biking community now, and we could have beautiful, wonderful bike racks, and one of our photos way at the end are some commercially made bike racks that are very attractive.
Way to
very
the end,
bright,
Katie.
Very modern looking. Another one would be, one of the things that we talked about was if each club could have a way of designating their existence right at their entrance in a uniform way that runs as a theme. So if it's a totem, because the Clay Club makes wonderful totems, and if you could make your totem in front of the jewelry shop, the silversmithing, very unique to you, and it identified that that's what's going on inside these rooms. Because right now you look at a room and you see the sign over it, but you don't really know what that means. That's why I love at Beardsley, that copper piece, because that was made by the Copper Group, and that demonstrates their beautiful work.
Okay, so going through the pictures, am I on here? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yep. Going through the pictures, we went into the library, and, there's walls that need some artwork, like everywhere else. And, I think about graphics can be painted. I mean, just a stripe or two, or just one wall that's a focal color, just something simple that doesn't cost much more than the paint and the labor. But we also thought about carrying the color themes from our logo, like let's look at the next page of pictures, like the library entryway, which doesn't even say it's a library. There's no sign that says it's a library. We thought maybe we could get, like a library book, an open book made by the Metal Club, the poor Metal Club, they're going to be doing so much.
Or wood. We talked about woodworkers.
Well, I know
too,
wood,
woodworking.
I don't know if wood will stand up to the heat, but, just
Yeah.
something. And then above the library, I mean, it could even say library. And maybe under the wall behind the pillar thing, maybe that could be a color back there. Just a nice color. And we were thinking, maybe the pedestals there, the columns, maybe they could be colored. Or something, just something, a change.
Shelley, I have a suggestion. In the pictures of the library on the inside, and we've got all the blank walls. And I'm not sure if this is going to be feasible, what with the country store, because I know there's stuff, there, but what about having like an art gallery, and it could be not just paintings, but it could be photography, it could be the metal works, that is put up there for sale, that people will see, and if they want to buy it, we could do it the same way as we do with the clubs
Well, the art and photography already have those places in there.
in the library?
We just did a hanging today of 26 paintings as you're going to the bathrooms. We've got that hallway, and I'm not sure where the photographers are, but they've got a wall somewhere too, and all of the work is for sale.
I was just wondering if there's other places that, to
Yeah,
put even
that's a
more
great
up.
idea. Yeah.
And it would help the people from the clubs also.
The other thing was, I thought about photography and how, if we put up, how you go to a doctor's office and they've got a hallway and it's all full of beautiful desert photography, like, Sedona, the Red Rocks, cactus, whatever. That could be carried through the different centers because, we all have that, the cactus, beautiful photography. And Carl, you wanted to say something, I'm sorry.
I love your suggestions about the library entry, and I just wanted to add that in about 4 or 5 weeks, see the main entry library doors. They will be removed 100%. And you will only have a single entrance. The ones that are inside will be replaced with brand-new, good operating doors. So you will no longer have this side entry to the center. It will be just a center, new set of bipart doors.
Will that opening still be the same size, or is that going to be smaller?
So nothing changes in that design of arch, and then the square cube that the doors fill, that'll get repaired, but it'll still have that square feeling. Tracy, the librarian, has asked that the cubby holes on each side be framed in and created for storage closets. She has no storage at the library. So we're gonna do that and put, painted commercial doors. Once you get into the, where the doors are now, you'd see a door and a door on left and right side. And they'll blend, you won't notice that it's a closet. But
Right.
those glass entry area will be eliminated.
I always get confused leaving.
Yes.
Where do I go? Yeah, so you see over the doorway there, it's in a recessed arch.
Yep.
That could even be a color.
Accent, yeah,
there.
I agree.
And then above the, under the roof, there's actually, you can't see it in the picture, but it's just different. It looked like there used to be signage there. There's a kind of a rectangular change that maybe that could actually say library. And also a picture we didn't get was when you're stopped at the light on Meeker and RH and you look at the library, there's a huge wall
back
that's
wall.
got nothing. And who knows?
So that's an open possibility.
Yeah. Judy?
I just want to offer something. I haven't been into the library for a long time because it hasn't been that accessible. But I recall their carpeting in there, when they redid it, is really pretty and colorful. And maybe instead of graphics on some of the bare walls, just take those colors out of the carpet. And I remember, it's green and there's a turquoise and some red, and just do different walls as accent walls.
Just accent walls,
To
yes.
complement the carpeting, because I think the carpeting is art enough. Whoever chose that did a really good job.
We have found that every wall is beige in the whole community.
We got a
It's
good deal
all
on that.
beige. So,
Well, Carl's trying to change it to gray, but
sorry, Carl, you got a sale.
I did not pick the carpet selection, but it was my very first project. And when they said, Carl, you have to remove all the books, I was like, oh my goodness.
They got a good deal on beige paint,
They
right?
did. They did. And then if you'll go to the next slide, I'm going to switch over to the entrance to the bowling alley. Now, this is lovely. The garbage can with the old bike rack. And really, I mean, something needs to happen here. And a pretty bike rack.
Well, maybe
graphics.
the stone table that's going to be removed from Beardsley it should go over here.
Absolutely, because I put that somewhere. Yeah, and then once again, the entrance to the bowling alley, there's no sign, there's no signage. We thought, maybe a metal sculpture with a pin and bowling balls, I don't know. But there's just nothing but beige. And these beautiful rainbow colors in our logo, maybe could be on the columns, maybe could be on the recessed wall, just pick one. And there's signage outside by the sidewalks that are either turquoise or orange or yellow or something, and maybe that could tie in with the entrance color. Just an accent wall.
Can I suggest something?
Sure.
There was one little table there with some chairs and stuff, and it's just all by itself. I mean, people could go to Mimo's and come out and eat. I mean, it could be a very nice area for people to congregate, and I just think that would be a great idea.
Absolutely. So, Patty.
She's talking about the other side of it, but
Other
it's
side,
same
Lima
kind of
side.
concept.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
So, let's see, should we move on to the bowling alley multi-purpose room?
Multipurpose room.
Well, so Sue,
Why
we've
don't-
talked about this, but the plan in an email that you sent,
Yeah, why don't we save that as, when we get to
Later?
3.03?
Okay.
Okay.
And let's talk about that.
okay,
At
so
that
should we just
point.
move on to
Yeah,
the
just
next-
move on.
Before we leave the arches idea, Carl, one of the things I noticed in going into the lecture hall, going into the library, going into the bowling alley, the archway is another repeating theme throughout the rec centers, which is very, or at least Johnson, it's very attractive. It tied in, I think, to the Sun Dome, all of that. But it's very dark in there. It's very, to me, it's gloomy. So one of the pictures that we put was a commercial lighting, that interior lighting that would, it's one of the last ones after the bike racks. Just the idea of brightening that, and even like into the lecture hall and the village store, it's painted dark. So we need to paint those light, perhaps, just to get reflected light coming in there.
Right, when we walked into, was it the lecture hall part?
Yeah,
When you are in that, the ceiling is brown, dark brown.
dark brown.
I mean, it's,
And there are a couple that are like that, yeah.
yeah.
love this legacy tradition school picture. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
lighting, isn't that
Towards
pretty?
the end, yeah. So.
We didn't hear that.
He likes the lighting idea on the very last page of their section, where it showed how the lighting underneath the arching area would enhance it.
I love driving in the community in the morning. Most of you guys are asleep. And the clock tower's all beautiful with color, you know? And I just think that'd be great in some other theme areas.
So could we go back to, right after the whoa, go back, yeah, forward, stop. So those, that's in that courtyard area, and there's just all we called them, well, anyway.
I named them soffits, they're fascia boards.
They're
but-
fascia, but they are really big beige areas. And I could see them being, just a graphic of maybe some saguaro, or it's just something very simple that, or whatever, maybe just color. I mean, I think we're all just saying the same
With
thing.
Lots of bare walls.
We've got a lot of bare walls, and everything's beige.
Should we move on to Kuntz? Are you kind of done with your highlights?
So,
Yeah, I think everybody can read the other things. Okay. Kuntz. Who's going to
Okay,
talk?
If you would skip to page 57. These somehow got a little bit out of order. I can't imagine how that could happen. My computer skills are so profound. Oh, I put,
No, you had it on.
I had it on. Okay. All right, here we go. Anyway, we had a great walkthrough. Frank, the manager, came with us as well, and he did a lot of the picking out of the various furnitures and new chairs, and he really worked hard to try to get some good things going, and some of the seating areas are just absolutely fabulous. And, yeah, they're just great.
place.
Again, we have a blank canvas when it comes to walls and that wonderful color of beige. And so just starting at the front entrance to the fitness and aquatics, we thought those old plastic cases that are outside of many areas could be removed and put maybe with, I love mosaics, and I love that copper mosaic over at Beardsley. And I think that would last a little longer than a mural because it's been fired, et cetera, et cetera. But some sort of a copper mosaic underneath the entrance there for where it says fitness and aquatics.
Or we thought of a fountain there.
Or even we thought even added a water wall fountain would be cool. Because it's just used continuous water. It's, no, don't start cringing at me.
We like the idea.
And you're turning red. It must be really bad. Okay, I'll move on. Great idea, honestly. Oh, okay. So as you go in that entrance, to get to the fitness room and then onto the pool, as you go down the hallway to get to the pool, you have on the right side of the hallway this wonderful AD machine with an old telephone, and again, those plastic cases that have every license in the world that evidently the facility has to have. I would suggest that you move those, not get rid of them, just move them to a less obvious place and aesthetically add some maybe quilts. And I thought maybe we could get some of the clubs to do an adopt-a hallway type of thing, and they could move their artwork around. And, that way they could even put up what they think it would look cool and, that kind of thing. And kind of just let them take over and let them move it around and highlight their expertise and skills. Okay, then if you move back to 52, page 52, let's see, inside the workout area, we stole the idea of the yoga room, that what they said with the inspirational sayings. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's fabulous. We'd love to see that go on one of the walls there. I forgot, okay, I haven't gotten to the pool yet, okay. Yeah, if you see the chairs there, it's on that wall, number 6. Okay, it's picture number 6, thanks, Susan. And then moving on into the pool area, I think they've got no lifeguard signs from 1902 up there. It says that no child under the age of 14 should be swimming in that pool without an adult, and I don't think any children are allowed in that pool. So I would suggest you kind of get rid of as many of those faded signs as you can. And also the shallow water signs, no diving. I don't think you need 80,000 of them around there. And so I would get rid of those. The other really big thing to me is they have a large wall, I should say for us, a large wall that is the backside of the woodworking club.
That's the bottom picture there.
And it's the bottom picture there. And it is the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. Now, that lady's laying there, little did she know that we were going to take her picture. But she's more interesting than that wall, that's for sure. So anyway, something needs to be put there, whether it be, again, ceramics and also landscaping and maybe some uplighting, because they do swim in that pool at night. And maybe some cactus, something that doesn't maybe take a great deal of water. But
Yeah.
sure.
That, love the idea of that accent wall. It's a great backdrop. That is the new project area. It's a grading and drainage basin, and we haven't gotten around to landscape in that it was Todd's 25 personnel short, so that's the only reason that's not landscaped to this date.
They're planning for
Yeah,
landscaping there.
yeah, and we're discussing around the pool by the new parking lot as well, so.
And I did speak with him about the aging out of the shrubs and that kind of thing. So, yeah, that'll be taken care of. So that was good news.
Great. Okay, then moving on to the Kuntz Courtyard. They did a wonderful job in the Stardust Theater area, putting some tiling, I don't know if we have pictures of that, but the tiling of the flooring and some pots. We thought we should continue that in all of the entrances to the Kuntz Courtyard, as well as the Stardust Theater entrance. Because it needs, well, it also needs a seating area, so people coming in there feel welcomed. And then there's an AD, once again, there's the AD machine. We'd like to see that get moved. And there's a pop machine in there that could also get moved to a lesser visible wall, so to speak. The fountain.
I didn't take a picture of the fountain.
Okay,
You should have.
I think the fountain is from the Spanish era, I'm not sure. But it needs, I would keep the outside foundation, but I would improve the inside of the fountain by taking it out and putting a more modern aesthetic fountain in there that uses the water. There's lots of great designs out there now, and I haven't specifically picked one out, but. And I would like to see some perhaps solar illumination on it at night. So when you're in that courtyard and you're sitting out there under the moon, you can also see that beautiful fountain shining up. A lot of the walls need something on them, you know, whether it be continuing the gridding from the inside of the Stardust area, mosaics.
Number 10.
Number 10?
If you see picture number 10,
Thank you,
you
Susan.
can't tell what the wall is and what the ceiling is. It's that bland. And you can see the chairs, but that actually is a just big, huge blank wall like we see at so many areas. And one of my thoughts is, since that is on the inside, even hanging some quilts there so that we can use, you know, one of the other clubs would be a great idea, rather than just painting something on it. Okay.
And Frank would like to see a large clock
Yeah.
out there somewhere, so you
We were
know.
thinking, see
yeah.
the picture of you on
Yeah, me?
that wall.
Oh, okay.
In picture number 11, which shows Judy, on both sides of those, where the windows are, like behind where Judy is, would be, he wants a large clock, would be a good place for that, plus the fact, or on the other end, and they do, he was saying they do set up, like when there's music there and stuff, they have a lot of things set up there, so there's not a whole lot necessarily you could do, but a clock would go well there.
There's a band setup area that could use mosaics on each side of it. You could do some uplighting on the existing flower plants that you could hook up to the tree there. Frank was concerned about electricity. I'm not sure about that, but I know that you could hook up to some of the existing plugs that are out there. Stardust Theater, which is on page 56, I think, outside the Stardust Theater. Let me see here. 56, yeah, outside the Stardust Theater. Excuse me. There is a great place for, again, a metal sculpture. Do you know what picture that is, Susan?
I didn't take a
Okay.
picture of that.
All right, so you could do a great metal sculpture relating to film, music, and stage symbols out there. I think it's important to remember that the Stardust is frequented many times with outside visitors who come to the concerts and the plays, and it would be nice to get something interesting out there.
You're talking the outside.
Outside, yeah, I'm not talking
I
about the
really
inside.
apologize, because I wanted to get a picture of that. That was the one place we didn't walk around on the outside. But if you're ever driving on Stardust and you look at that side, even from the parking lot to the building itself, is just nothing. And it really needs a lot of work. So really, like I say, of all the areas in Kuntz, that probably needs the most help right now for the first thing to do. And I apologize for not getting a picture of that.
Overall, of all the buildings around that whole area, you need to replace all the old wall lighting outside on the walls or inside any of the areas with that old lighting that's got the motif of, I don't know what it is. Is it an old?
I think-
It's
is
a
that-
clock tower.
Is
It's
that,
the original Sun City logo.
The original Sun City logo, which is cool, but I think we need to move on. They put some new outside lighting out there for LED on the new building, and I would continue that with the new lighting on the outside around the entire building
And in the courtyard.
and in the courtyards.
And with-
Carl, is that in the,
And with
in the,
discussion with staff, that might be possible. So I do have a lighting project to finish up Kuntz for the parking lot and walkway lighting. So if the budget allows and wall lighting if staff is interested in doing wall lighting change,
Yes,
and
we
I
were
think
thinking,
they've expressed that case, but I'll look into that.
we were thinking of just removing the old sconces lighting that give almost no light in the old courtyard and replacing those with it. Yeah.
I think that one of the things that happened at Kuntz with a lot of empty walls in the old courtyard is that those walls used to be filled with the racks of tables and chairs to set out. And so now there's a storage place for those things. So all of a sudden now we can see, oh, look at here. Lots of empty walls that, that we can take a look at. We can hang some weavings up there or, we have a lot of options that now are bare walls. Okay. We've been here for a while. Are you needing a break? You want to keep going? Just keep going? Okay, I'm going to save the golf course feedback for our next meeting, okay? So that we can move ahead with where we're going to go with this next. Fabulous ideas, and I think we've just scratched the surface. I made some notes about things that I would like us to continue to pursue. A lot of you didn't have a chance to get inside some of the rooms, like inside the social hall, inside Palm Ridge Auditorium or ballroom, whatever we call that, inside the lecture hall. So there are some of those kinds of things that you can, that I'd love to have you snoop around in. But, so that's why I think this is a base, but we need to continue with this. Then I'm going to go to 3.02 here, which is talking about Charter Club connections. So the next thing I'd like us to do is to make contact, and I'm going to pass out the assignment sheet here. I want us to make contact with the different clubs that might be interested in displaying their items. So, and I guess there are three purposes for really doing that. One is to inform them of our committee and its purpose and its goals, so they understand what we're doing. And then also to get from them what kinds of products they might see that they might want to display or they might want to donate. Think of kind of ideas of where their craft might be able to be displayed and their concerns that might go along with that. And then thirdly, if they don't have items that really fit with what we're talking about, just to let them know that when we do some community art kinds of things, because they're people that are into crafts and into artistic type things, that we want them to know about it so that they would volunteer to, to be a part of a community art project that we might dream up at some point. So those are three different tasks that I'd like you to accomplish. So, yes, Shelley.
I'm in the Clay Club, and I can see having this conversation with them, and, they might want to know, is it only going to be donated art, or would they be able to get some money for the materials, or? if they ask me that?
There is funding in next year's operational budget for items like that. So, yes, it doesn't start until July, and of course, the budget still has to be approved, but it is part of the operational budget, which means there isn't going to be money to go out and get a $30,000 piece of sculpture that's going to go in Beardsley Park. But it does mean that there will be money, for example, if we're going to need to buy clay.
Right,
Yeah. And buy picture frames and things to enhance or to let them, go along the way. But I don't see us paying artists for their time. I
No,
don't see
but
that would happen.
paying for
But the
clay,
supplies,
the supplies, yeah,
absolutely, yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
'Cause I
So
would
that's
be-
the
I'll talk
intent.
to the Clay Club.
And ask them just to generate ideas of what kinds of things that they might think that they could create, that maybe they haven't done before, but they could do something beyond that. And I think from that, then I would want you to, and here I sit with all these here, pass those around. I would want you to also get their ideas in terms of restraints or concerns. With the totems, I can see that the concern might be, well, are you going to have them secure so somebody doesn't walk off with them? How this kind of thing can't be in the sun, or it can, and so you'll get some of the conversations. And then I'd like you to, when you come back to the next meeting, to have that prepared in terms of what did they offer? Okay, on the one side, and then what are the notes or the comments that you heard from them on the other side? And they may need to go back to their board or, their membership and generate ideas, and, you can give them that opportunity, and they can call you back and add that onto your list. So just a simple typed-up thing that has ideas, concerns for next time.
Question. Do you want, we've all recommended different clubs. Do you want us to each duo to contact those clubs? or-
Okay. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to identify the clubs that you will, as an individual, that you will contact, because you don't need to do this with your partner. You can do this individually. So that's one of the reasons that I gave you that newspaper, that you have a list of all the different clubs that might apply.
Could I ask what clubs are represented here?
Well, we can start with that. So let's go around and, Shelley, you want to take the Clay Club?
I'll take the Clay Club.
Okay, so let me write that. Well, can we do it this way? Can we start with the alphabetical list that I've got, so it's easy for me to write down? Okay, art.
I'll take
Patty will take art. As president, she might as well. Artistic hand lettering and cards. Anybody? Basketeers. Beaders. Ceramics. Okay, so you want to take ceramics?
Well, when do we have to have this, because I'm leaving Saturday?
Well, call them tomorrow, and then you just send me your information. Yeah, that would be fine, and I'll put it together. Okay, so
How many clubs we're going to need to take?
maybe a maximum of 2.
Okay, I'll take the Basketeers.
Okay. Clay Club, okay. All right, I've got that one. Copper enameling and glass arts. So you got clay. I think we take 2.
Do you want to do the copper?
Beardsley. It's copper enameling and glass arts. It's a, okay. I'm going to skip a couple of these because I just don't see how they're going to fit in.
Yeah.
Not too much, no. But they might have an idea. Lapidary.
Well, I'm in Lapidary too,
Oh, perfect.
and I don't think there's much they're gonna do, but
Well, you never know. They deal with a big rock,
Big geode.
big geode.
You know, we were thinking like those big geode
A big geode.
slices.
Yeah.
Right outside.
Right on the side of the
Yeah.
door would be so pretty.
You mean attached to the wall?
Yeah. They're
No,
purple.
I was thinking of it as the totem.
Yeah,
A minute in.
yeah. Leather? Leather Club?
You know, they're right by the art. I'll take
They're in
them.
Kuntz, they're behind.
Sue, they're right beside the art. I'll take them.
Okay. Macronet? I don't know how that might, they knit.
Oh, knit.
Yeah, I mean, I had a vision last night of a big spider web that they had knit, and you hung it on the wall. I don't know where those ideas come from, but
Halloween.
Halloween. So anyone want to do Macronet?
Do what?
Take the Macronet Club
Oh,
to talk to. Okay, Metal Club?
I'll do that because I've already approached them.
Okay,
And
thanks, Judy. Palo Verde Patchers? I'll do that. Okay, thank you. Photography. Okay, Candy. I'm going to skip them. Rip and Sew? Nobody's in that. Okay. Scrapbooking, paper crafts? No. Stained glass? That's an. Okay, thank you. Toy Keys, Silvercraft? Who's doing lapidary? Oh, but you've already got two, okay. Yeah, I've got you down for a couple, you don't want, Silvercraft, nobody, we got it. Okay, thank you. You'll get to know somebody. I'll take the Weavers, seeing as I'm there. Woodworking Club. Okay, Nancy. I'm skipping Zymergy.
They're the party afterwards.
Because how? I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but,
we'll have a drink there after we're done.
you know, I don't know how we're going to share that craft. Okay, let's go back to, did I miss anything here? Nobody has Rip and Sew. You want me to do that?
The head of the metal club lives right next door to me. Would you like for me to take that?
I have spoken to them, and I'd kind of like to take it. Just because we're talking about a bunch of sculptures or something that might go on. And I learned from them that at the 1st of May, or sometime at the beginning of May, and Carl can probably speak to this better than me, that they're going to start their addition or the repair work, and it may take them all summer to complete. But I have the president's name, and I've spoken to 2 other people there, so I'd like to carry on with that, if you don't mind.
Okay, so the ones that we have that are key here, Macronet, we haven't got covered, and beaters. Anybody want to take them, even if they don't?
Well, I'll take beaters because they might
Okay.
want to do some displays.
Sure.
And you do wall hangings with beads and
Yeah,
stuff too.
right, there are opportunities.
I'll take beaters.
Okay.
I was in that club for a while, and I'd say, I'm in the beater club, and they go, beat her club?
Oops.
No.
So,
Okay.
Sue, as we're having this conversation with these clubs, I want to make sure I've got the plan correct in my head.
Okay, refer to the paper here.
Well, I've read
Okay.
it, but so they as a club would take this on, and we would designate a space, and they would create an idea.
No. This is just information gathering, so that the idea will be is once we get this information, as to what ideas that they have that they might want to contribute. We'll bring that back here, and then we may be able to say, okay, let's match this idea. For example, if I talk to the Weavers and they say, oh, we could have some things hanging in the Kuntz courtyard as long as they're in a shade area, then I come back and I offer that, and we may say, okay, that matches up beautifully, let's give them this area.
Okay.
that
The
we're gonna
only
do
reason
it.
I asked that question is, what I have found is just a different way, a different approach, and that is, if we had a very specific site with a very specific idea, I believe, at least from my point of view, I would be more willing to buy into that rather than just saying, what general ideas can you generate? Well, I've never given this any thought at all, so I haven't got any ideas for you. But if you told me I had that wall, and it was the art club's job to figure out what needed to go there, I might be able to get a team of people that would address that.
You know,
So it's just a
Patty,
different way
I
to
think we're
look at it.
probably not ready to go
Okay,
there yet. I
okay.
think that's maybe an idea that we would implement next year. Right
Okay.
now, it's just to let them know what our committee is about.
more
Yes,
information.
yes. Okay,
Okay.
okay. So in terms of our plan, that's kind of your assignment, and send that back to me, and if you send it ahead of time enough, as soon as you get it, then I can compile it into one document, which I think works better, that you have that opportunity to read that before you come to the meeting. And then the other thing, number one there, I would suggest that you look at the different sites that you're not familiar with, so that the things that were presented in your packet have some meaning to you, because when we come back the last time we get together, we kind of want to target how we're going to approach things and where we're going to go first. And in order to do that, you kind of have to have an idea in your mind which place is more important to fix up than the other place in terms of order and organization. So are we good with that assignment? Okay, great.
I was just going to say, I've had some experience when I was a president of the chamber installing art in public spaces and things. And when we go around and do our survey at the different clubs, I think it's really important that we all have a list of questions, so we're all asking the same question, and that we have a cohesive set of goals with those questions. So when we bring back the information, it's all formatted, and we're not getting, well, so-and-so said this at this club, but over here they said, because, everyone talks to everyone here. I think we need to have a little bit of an explanation and then a set of questions, and even maybe print it up that we can hand to whoever we're speaking with, the president or whoever this club is, and kind of introduce ourselves, let us know what our goals are. Here's the questions, here's the information we're seeking. How can you help us? How can we help you? And kind of dovetail that into a document then, is valuable.
Okay, so would it be helpful if I, sent out to you our objectives and our purpose, and you can use that for your conversation with them? Okay, I mean, you've got a copy of that, but I'll pull something together that would help with that issue. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's go on to the next topic, and maybe we want to talk about, go back to the group, the upper RH, we want to go to the pictures of the sports pavilion area. I sent you kind of the background, this has been a project that we had asked to be put into the budget, and at that point, it was pulled out of the budget because of COVID-19, and the idea of a gathering place wasn't going to really, work when you can't gather. So now the idea is that we will fix up this room and see how it goes and see if people really enjoy having a place to go. And the idea being that we're going to use the existing furniture and things that we have, and it's going to be done during the time that the sports pavilion is closed for installing the new scoring system. Then the general manager, after he informed me of that, he said, well, maybe this is a good project for your arts and design group. So that came as just the time we were starting this, and So I'm suggesting that we also add this onto our plate and take a look at that room and brainstorm some ideas of things that we could do right now to help make it a pleasant place to be. So let's start with what you found out that was part of your purview. Can you make comment on?
Well, first of all, Wii Bowling is in there, and they have a league of 140 or 60-some people in that league, so to displace them is not
Okay,
appropriate.
that's not
That's-
happening.
they
They're going
have
to
their
stay where they are, and they're scheduled in there, and they can still be doing that while
Sure.
people are doing other things in the rest
Absolutely.
of the.
Yeah,
Yep,
what we
okay.
noticed was, and what you can see in this, the top picture, is just a big empty floor space behind the Wii Bowling chairs. And Shelley talked about, could it be possible to construct booths that people could sit in? Could there be permanent structures in there as far as chairs and tables and four tops or a six table, that kind of thing, so that they're not moved out of the way? And that's kind of in reference to one of my earlier comments, is right now that's used for many purposes. There's also a meeting room. And so the gentleman that runs this room has the pleasure of taking furniture away and getting furniture out whenever it's necessary. And it would be great if this is going to be a place for people to come and congregate, it probably needs to stay in whatever layout
Yeah,
we
yes,
leave it.
that is the plan.
Okay.
That it will,
so-
and the also part of the plan is that we'll still be able to use it for meetings in the mornings. I guess we had identified, between 8 and 11, because we would expect that's not a high time for people to be hanging out and playing games, so to speak. So yes, it will be set up permanently. We'll have to purchase a limited amount of furniture to be able to pull that off. And in the original plan, I think Carl had drawn in, yes, some booths. I don't know that we'll be able to purchase that at this point, but all those concerns have to be taken, into consideration. So we're really looking at, I guess, and as to our part, is kind of what the design is going to be in terms of where those things will be located. The darts are going to be moved into there, so
They
the
are, okay.
dart machines, and potentially one of the smaller pool tables, and the shuffleboard that they've got. And the bar would remain where it's already located.
Okay.
And
One thing I noticed was the storage back in that back
Yes.
left-hand corner there needs to be another hiding wall that just kind of puts some of that stuff so it's not in your vision.
right, and
then-
the storage in there was mainly because they had to set up, and so they'd have to have a place to put the chairs away and the tables away, and so that they bring them back out again. So,
right.
then it begs the question as to whether or not that'll continue to be there.
Is
Shelley?
this going to, I've taken classes in there, wine and painting. Is this something that would continue in that room, or would it be moved somewhere else?
Well, that
Because-
particular activity would probably have to go someplace else, because that's large. You
Yes.
need painting tables and all that kind of thing. But we figure that up to 50 people could still be seated in the kind of the plan that we had in terms of the arrangement of it.
Are there windows in this room?
The windows, yes.
Down on
Okay,
the end.
take a look at the top picture. You see the white screen?
Yes.
That's the white screen. Okay, on the left and the right of that, see the black things way up at the
Yes.
top? Those are windows that have been covered.
Windows, okay.
Yeah,
So is that wall face the pool?
yes.
Is there any way that there could be bigger windows?
Oh,
Or a
yes, I
slider?
would
Wanna talk
love,
about
I
this,
would
yes.
love that,
And a
Carl. You
deck.
wanna-
I know, of course, I
wanna
also want
talk-
a deck and all that
I
too, but
know, I know.
that's not
And,
gonna happen, is it?
yes.
No, I wouldn't say that. It's not this phase of your discussion.
Right, right. At some point, we would hope that we can go back to the original plan. Part of that is that wall that is there out to the pool is at the wrong elevation to be able to put something out there, so there's some difficulty with that. So those big changes, we're kind of limited with those. So this is like a temporary.
We're
okay.
justifying the need before we justify the big funds.
Right.
So we're in there and we're going, oh, it's so dark in here.
So,
Yeah.
If it's a lounge, it's supposed to be dark.
well, and that, one of the things is different lighting,
I know.
And is the intent to hire someone that would be in there to serve alcohol? And I mean, I know Bill's in there
Yes.
serving alcohol, but
Yes.
that's not his primary job,
Right.
is it? So,
Well,
okay.
he's pretty much manages that room.
Okay, so he's the
But yes,
manager of
there
the
would
room.
be employees that,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
rec center employees that would do it there. And the other intent is that you can order food from Mimo's, and if they would increase their menu to have a lot of appetizers that you would be able to, or, say, send a waitress over, and,
Oh.
and she would come to, she or he would come to provide something for you. Yes.
I know on Sunday during NFL, they have all the TVs on, and they do like provide breakfasts and things that from, is it Mimo's? Memes? Yeah. And so you have to keep in mind too that those TVs are going to be used at certain times.
Well, yes, and that's another piece of the plan is to have events in there. And one of those events might be a big NFL game that's playing. And so, that will happen in there with the seating the way it's set up. You don't have to, redo it with chairs. And, or let's say that you want a small group, you've got somebody that wants to, sing and play the guitar. That can be set up for, like Thursday night at 6 o'clock or whatever that happens to be. So there will be some little events that will occur there as well. So we want to have a place where you can still do the Wii bowling. You can play darts. You can sit at a bar. You can sit in low lounge chairs with coffee tables and talk with your friends. That you can go over there and listen to a small musical group. And all of these things can exist together in this location without having to get out ugly white tables and ugly chairs and that kind of thing. So that's the future
I'm
plan.
also wondering about the lighting too. The big fluorescent lights.
Dim.
Right. Are those dimmable or, Carl?
The lights are fully dimmable, and it does make for a good atmosphere lighting,
Okay.
because we have to dim them for the presentation pieces like we're doing here, but it goes dark, you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
nice.
I was wondering how much space from the Wii screens do they need?
It's a small amount.
Yeah, I
It's
asked.
a much smaller amount. They just use more because they've got it right now. So,
I think about where you see the chairs, that would be the outermost.
yeah, so maybe you're talking 10 feet.
10,
Yeah.
10 feet, 8
Yeah.
feet?
10 feet.
Something like
And I think the darts are the same way.
'Cause-
It's a small distance, because if you've seen them in the alleyway,
I remember when we did the Zymergy Club, we had to displace the Wii people.
Right,
And
right.
that was
it's a very,
that was not fun.
no, it's a very popular opportunity, but, their hours may be such that, they're not going to be in there at 4:30 in the afternoon when
And
other
that's what
folks
Bill
are
said
coming.
too, and it's one of the
Yeah.
things that you could do socially with your friends for a small fee and.
Sure.
And be a wee bowler in the evening.
Sure.
Just for fun.
Absolutely.
So there would be alcohol at,
Well, there already is.
there
Yes.
already is now?
There already is.
Beer and wine there.
Beer and wine. Mhm.
And he says a lot of times, there might be, he talked about these ladies' bowling leagues, that after that, a lot of them come in,
Right.
and celebrate or commiserate or whatever.
Yeah, commiserate.
So on the back wall, on the top, underneath the windows, those 4 dark blocks, those are shuffleboard scoring.
Yes, they will,
items and-
they will be moved. Shuffleboard people are going to have a permanent home over in the bocce ball area, those extra 4 bocce courts that are over on the side by the Zymergy Club. Their mats will be put in there permanently, and that will be their space. So anything relating to shuffleboard will be going over there, and they're going to find shed, or I don't know how they're going to deal with the supplies that they're going to need. And the idea is that if bocce needs, when bocce needs those courts, it's during tournament times. And so when they have a tournament, the extra shuffleboard mats will be rolled up and their glass beads, removed and all that kind of thing, so that bocce has access to them for that time period. And I think they might have to do some shade cover or something like that. So
What are the dimensions of that room overall? I know it's
it's
large.
3,700 square feet. It's huge. It's much larger than you might think. Yeah.
79 by 40.
I think it's by 54. 54, 79 by 54. Well, it depends on if you count the bar that's already existing there or the storage. So what I'm suggesting is that we either walk over there like right now and we're done, but I think I don't know how much more time you want to commit to this. Or, as I suggested on the assignment sheet, if either of these times or one or the other of these two times work for you, to go over there on Thursday at 3 or Friday at 9, if you don't want to do it today, and stand in the room and do some brainstorming. Candy's good for you. Go ahead, Nancy.
Oh, did you say that the dart area that's by the bowling alley is going to be moved into here?
Yes.
Okay, I went in there and I kind of looked, and you mentioned something about acoustics, and there's but the ceilings aren't real high, but there's this type of like kite effects that you've seen on ceilings. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Things hanging from the ceiling?
Like
Okay.
it's like the shape of like kites.
Oh, kites.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking, yeah. But then I didn't know if you wanted to give it like a sports bar look, or if it's going to be a multi-purpose
yeah.
room.
Well, the theme hasn't really been set, other than it's been lovingly referred to as Lizard Acres. Lizard Acres. Evidently, you have to have you have to be able to acquire a name. And so several years ago, evidently it was Carl that came up with it. You're so happy. Yeah, and it's technically Lizard Acres Pub, because Lizard Acres was already taken by somebody else. But anyway, that's about the only thing that's been decided in terms of a theme, because the committee, didn't reach that step where we were determining, what it was going to look like. We were assuming there would be an architect that would design it, and of course, now that's not happened. But that's about the only constraint we've got, is called Lizard Acres, which
They start serving liquor.
it's there right now, honey, if we go over there.
I mean, is that start at 4 o'clock, or is that?
No, all day. The Sports Pavilion owns the liquor license, okay? So if somebody from Mimo's wants to have a beer, they go to the Sports Pavilion and they get the beer for that. If somebody, they're selling it behind the check-in place where you bowl, you go over and you tell them what you want, and somebody brings it to you. And the actual bar, and behind that area there's a place where they keep it cold. There's a
Refrigerator.
yeah, refrigerator thing and stuff like that. So it's always been there.
There's no bartender or anything like that.
You have to ask the front desk.
Yeah, you ask at the front desk and you
guess
get it.
I
Otherwise,
understood
Bill is.
Go to the bowling alley place and get your wine or beer.
I guess you can get it either place.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bill-
and
Bill will
Bill is
serve it.
there. Then he will serve it
He
to
will
you.
serve you.
Yeah,
He's got his license to serve, he said,
right.
so.
Yeah.
I
So
think Lizard Acres is fun, and you'd have to name it, because, people want to go. Hey, where are we going, the bowling alley?
Yeah,
No,
well,
we're going to Lizard Acres.
right, right, and you can't keep referring to it as the old shuffleboard.
No.
So
bowling.
or the wee bowling place, right? So Lizard Acres.
There could be some lizard art.
Absolutely. I had
Lizards,
I had a vision of a two-dimensional lizard that went all the way across the 50 feet of the, hanging from the wall, you know, way up there. I just had that kind of a vision. So anyway, so what about the rest of you? Can you comment one of these other 2 times? Or is that bad for you?
Say again?
Well, to go there and sit and create ideas. Okay. Well, that's one of the choices. Is everybody okay with 3 o'clock on Thursday, or? Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fine with me.
We can't.
Okay, so can you do it at 9 o'clock on Friday?
I could do it 9 o'clock.
Okay, can you go over today?
And she's already been there, yeah.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, you've been there. Yeah, but we want your ideas.
Um,
Can anybody do it like right after this?
Yeah, I
I
can.
can do it right now.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, so some of us are going to go over right from here. And the rest of you are going to go over 3 o'clock on Thursday? And then we'll skip Friday.
Yeah. I
Nobody's
can't
going
do
on Friday? Okay. Well, we're skipping that. That's 9 o'clock in the morning. And I don't like to get up that early. Okay. All right, so where are we on this agenda here? I think we're kind of at the end. I will share with you several other ideas just quickly that I received from other people, community members, okay? One is there's a cactus sculpture donation that's going to be coming our way. Another group of golfers evidently sent it via one of the scribes and was interested in developing art along the medians of the roads in the boulevards, which is something that we had brought up at one of our first meetings and said, well, let's not go there yet because first of all, let's just deal with the rec centers. So I explained that to them, but it was interesting that came up from somebody else as well. So that was an idea. Another person wanted to improve the entrance to Sun City West at RH Johnson and Grand Avenue, where you have to come across the railroad tracks, and then you look to the one side and you see Sun City Grand entrance there, grand entrance. And, you know, I don't know where we would go with that, but that was a concern. And then ARC, Tom Jones is here, shared an idea that they had several years ago. They've got 2 storage containers that are located in like the wrong place to be adjacent to their area. And they had suggested moving those container things and then covering them with art, as you've seen, I think, with the container houses and things that people have created, that maybe we could incorporate that over on the end of the tennis courts and the dog, on the way to the dog park for the big dogs, that they could. That was a suggestion they had offered several years ago, and wondering about, doing some art on something like that. So those are the things that I've received from the community, along with a lot of other things when we were walking around. I don't know if this happened to the rest of you or not, but people would wonder what we were doing, and we told them, and then they say, oh, yeah, put something over there. Oh, yeah, they were all pretty upbeat about what we were doing. There's only one person that didn't want anything changed. But there's always one. But otherwise, people were pretty enthusiastic. So that was my feedback. And then I've already offered my suggestions that we need to get inside rooms like this that we're sitting in to get some creative ideas along those lines as well. Katie, do we have any kind of comments or anything from the? Okay, nothing from the public. All right, anybody want to make any individual comment before we quit? Kat?
I think, everything we're doing here is wonderful, and, can you hear me?
I don't know, is your light on?
There it is. Okay. I think everything we're doing here is wonderful, and I really love that we're assessing the clubs and the people within our community. But I think I think we deserve to have some permanent funding, and however that, is generated, rather it's a, 1% of all capital improvements are set aside for art, or 3% are, and where I come from, anytime a capital improvement's done, there's a percentage set aside for art because they realize the value of it. And I think we're shortchanging ourselves to, continue on piecemealing things. And I think we need to not only get a permanent source of funding, but also develop criteria for each of the facilities. And all these suggestions that all you great people have brought together, I think those need to be pushed forward and put in a substantive form so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel 5 years from now when, we've all moved to Utah or someplace. But just, I had a list of things that I kind of, but we can address it another time. But
Okay.
I think we need to really think bigger and more broad and more inclusive and move forward in that direction.
Yeah, excellent comments. And one of our last meetings, because this is just a short-term beginning stage, will be to determine how this should continue. Should this committee continue as a board committee? Should it be a different type of group? And what will our goals be as we move on? And definitely to formalize it. I know that a lot of communities set aside a percentage. So you're exactly right in terms of that. That's set aside and dedicated to art. And I think we can certainly move in that direction as we become more formalized. Yeah, Marilyn?
Coordinates this all together? I mean, there's lots of thoughts here. And
Well, that's what we,
like there ought to be a decorator who coordinates everything, so it's just not spotty.
right. That's one of the other decisions that we will need to make before we conclude this committee. Or maybe that happens next year. Okay, how do we address each of these different ideas? We don't have a designated artist that's in charge of making all those decisions. And I don't know that we would want that. I think it's better to come from a committee that has multiple ideas. But that's definitely something that we have to figure out, whether we're going to say, okay, these Susan and Judy are going to take care of Kuntz if we decide to go that route, or if we decide to arrange things a little differently. We'll have to figure that out.
Or could we hire a company to come in and to coordinate?
Okay, I don't think we want to go that direction. That's not our intent. Not our intent, no.
I'd like to make a suggestion that all the great ideas that we had today, divide them into a couple categories. You've had some solvable areas that would make a huge impact just by paint.
Right.
So, and if it falls also into the category of art, put it in the category of paint and put it in the category of art. But if you had a paint category, those things are probably much more accessibly be completed or entertained in advance. You have a lot of homework to do with artists as far as commissioning or recommending commissioned things. And then a little bit of a focus on currently approved projects. So again, I mentioned that Beardsley, if you want input on that, then you have a little window to work on that. If I'm not offended if you don't give me input on that, because you have a very little window to work on that.
Right.
And, so.
Okay, I can go through the suggestions that have been in our packet, and I can pull them apart into paint versus, some of the other categories. I can start to work on that, if that might be helpful to you. And I'm also going to get to you some ideas on what to say when you're working with the clubs that you're going to be talking with.
Well, I'm looking at this too, and we were assigned the strength of our ideas. I thought of that as what do we think at the rec centers that we looked at was the most important thing to do
Right.
first. And I see that we have some 2s and 1s and 4s and 5s. But most of the assessments have 5s, and they can't all be that important. So,
Well, some of the things with the kind of rating system that you did, some things can be done without any kind of a cost or effort. For example, you're talking about rearranging the furniture in the entrance to the pool at Palm Ridge. Well, heck, you could go over there with another pal and rearrange things,
Right.
and there's no cost and no effort after you speak with the person. Well, as an example, that's not something that's going to. So it might not be highly important to do it, but it's also extremely easy to do once you confer with the, what do you call them, the facilities people that are in charge of that area.
could each of our teams just go through their suggestions and put down what is low cost but would make a big difference by next meeting, like rehanging some of the artwork or moving chairs around?
Yep, you could do that.
And then we just work on that project first to make everything look decent, and then go with the big sculpture and, that sort of thing.
We could.
Well, Kat and I did Palm Ridge. There's some beautiful artwork on the walls, but some of them are like that high. And
Judy is short.
Yeah, well, no, but the proper eye level for artwork is the middle of the picture is for somebody that's about 5'7" to 5'8". So that is just the perfect place, or depending on the height of the ceiling, how many feet down from the ceiling should be the top of that artwork. Now, that would cost nothing. A maintenance guy to come with the team and, with Kat and I, and say, okay, lower that there.
Okay, Judy, so maybe I can put that into the list that Carl, is suggesting that we put, paint things. Maybe I can put no-cost items. Maybe
Yeah.
I can pull those things
And
when I go through here.
Situations like furniture placement, we walked into that pool entrance. It was like a storage place for furniture. They didn't have any place to put it, so they put it all together in that room. And things like that make everything attractive, but they don't cost anything.
Okay, so let me
that's
pull
my
that into a list for you.
And I'm gonna,
Go ahead.
after this meeting, tomorrow, have a discussion with some staff and just see if they're open to allowing us to experiment on a
Okay.
couple of these things. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely, great. Yeah.
Carl, thank you for allowing us to have input on some of the projects that you're going with or having, to do in the future. And I'm available if there's anything at Kuntz that you want my input from. I know Susan's leaving town, but I'm stuck here, so if you need anything, let me know.
Yeah, and at Kuntz, we worked together. I happened to walk with them. We worked together with Frank, so, we've got a great connection already, but that didn't happen at some of the other places.
fill the team in too, and like, for example, how we came up with weavers and quilters rooms. What was my process? We sat
That was
down with
excellent.
leadership and the most creative people in the room, and I didn't pick those colors for those rooms. You did. And,
right.
and I, only thing that I try to help steer is like, the budget doesn't allow for the cabinetry to be replaced, but it had a nice neutral mauve. So the color palette was kind of worked with, so that both worked. And I think we were really successful, so.
Right, definitely.
know.
Okay, anybody else have any other comments? Okay, our next meeting is 2 weeks. The 27th, at 11 o'clock. And we have our assignments, and I'm going to be available tomorrow at 3 at the bowling alley, and I'm going to walk over with whoever wants to go today and get ideas, and obviously we'll have to bring those ideas back, and I'll do a little homework on the way. And I thank you very much. I told you in the beginning, I guess, or maybe I didn't, this was going to be a working committee, and we were going to have a short term, but we were going to get it done. So thank you for all the effort that you put in so far. Fabulous, fabulous. Okay, and at that, I'll call the meeting to a close. Thank you.